So there's a loophole in a liar's strategy that you can exploit because they expect you to trust them, to listen to them, and not to really dive deep and to look for the one thing that can really uncover that they're lying. So in this video, I want to teach you what that one thing is and how you can apply it to reveal and spot a liar. Now, after it was found out that Bill Clinton was lying about the Monica scandal, it came out that there were actually numerous complaints against Bill by women he had worked with. Hillary actually stated in a memoir that she had doubts before that the marriage should even continue. So there must have been red flags previously. And make any judgments about Hillary that you want. She is a smart woman, and I have no doubt that there were plenty of opportunities that Bill showed himself to Hillary in terms of his character traits and who he was. And I'm sure that she knew what type of man that she was getting into a relationship with. Now, let me just tell you, I am not a political person by nature. I don't get very much into politics, and I'm not here to crap on Bill Clinton or to promote anyone else. I'm strictly using Bill because he is such a perfect example of someone that really lied and fully committed and invested in that lie and ultimately was found out. Really, in this video, I want to show you how you can really focus and uncover those red flags, pay attention to them to really spot a liar. Hi, I'm Jason Silver. I'm the dating coach for ambitious women. Please become a subscriber. Hit the red subscribe button below and join me every week as we do a deep dive into male psychology, understanding men, creating powerful attraction, and really just learning how to be irresistible to high-quality men. You'll see a red subscribe button, and then hit the little bell next to it so you get notified of all of my upcoming videos. So what is that one tool? It's congruence. Once again, a liar is going to expect you to listen and to believe everything they say. In the beginning of a relationship, before you really truly get to know someone, I would encourage you to be really curious about what they're saying. You don't necessarily have to have this pessimistic view that people are lying to you. That's not really helpful. You want to give people the benefit of the doubt, but you don't want to put yourself in a position to be hurt by overly trusting someone. So always have a bit of skepticism. The only way to truly get to know someone much more in depth is to spend a lot more time with them, to watch how congruent they are. Now, congruency really just means doing what I say and saying what I do, hearing and seeing them live up to their word over time. It takes time and experience. And there's specific things that you could look for to try to spot incongruence. Now, you'll see other body language experts say, oh, well, you could tell he was lying. He covered his mouth, or he sipped a can of soda before he said something. And they give you all these little cues. I'm sorry, but body language science, and for you to become an expert at body language science, and just because someone takes their left hand and puts it and scratches their face or takes a drink before they talk, it's just not so easy. You're going to have to rely on other methods to uncover or reveal if he's lying. And like I said, liars bank on the fact that you're not overly curious about what they're doing. So I really want to list out different ways that you can look for incongruence. The first thing is to notice the characters or the relationships with people that they talk about in their life. So do they have friends or family or coworkers, people that they're spending time with, relationships that they say that are important to them, people that play some kind of a recurring role in their life. And one week do they tell you, gosh, you know, I'm really great friends with this guy, Mike, and he's been a good friend of mine for the past decade. And then that's the last thing you ever hear about Mike. Like, you don't hear anything else about him ever again. Once again, suspicious. Try to remember when he tells you about relationships. If he tells you that he's got this really great loving relationship with his sister, they're really tight, well, when was the last time he saw his sister? How come he hasn't seen his sister in 7 years? How come you can't meet his sister ever? These are things to really pay attention to, because it's very easy for someone to lie about themselves. But it becomes much more difficult when you involve another character, because typically, if they have a relationship with that person, they're going to see them in real life, which creates events and experiences. And also they have stories, they have interactions. And as you get to know your partner, I'm sure some of those stories or interactions will come up. So if you hear them give you a point of view, a perspective, an experience that helps paint a picture about their relationship, really remember that, pay attention to that, so when you hear about this character or meet them in the future, you can use your eyes and ears to really see, does that match what he told me? You're always looking for that congruence. Does this make sense? Does this relationship make sense based on what he told me? Now, obviously, you want to look for actions. Actions speak louder than words. You've heard it a million times. But even a step further than that, we tell our partners what we value. We talk about that. We describe ourselves. I value this, I value that. The best indicator of what someone values is what they spend their time on. So if you really want to know what someone values, watch what they do. Watch their actions. And when he tells you something over and over again, you really have to ignore what he's saying and look at what he's doing, because that's the best way that he's going to communicate to you the truth. So always keep your ears a little bit muted and your eyes completely wide open, because the best liars are the ones that can convince away everything. And so you really want to pay attention to what you're looking at. And sometimes that means you just got to trust your gut. If something feels fishy or doesn't make sense, like if he tells you that he really values his family but he doesn't see them, that doesn't make sense. If he tells you he really wants a relationship, a really committed relationship where he lives with a partner and wants to get married, and yet he never talks about taking the next step, or never does anything to move towards that, then does he really value that? Or if he really loves quality time and yet he's always going off on vacations and he doesn't always invite you with, I mean, really look at things that just don't totally add up. And when you do that, here's kind of a trick of really knowing that something is a little off. Don't just look at what he does, but try to look at the character trait that that represents. So let me give you an example. If a guy says he's going to call you and doesn't, and this becomes a pattern, he always has a good excuse though, I mean, in my eyes, that's a little bit inconsiderate. Or if on a first date, a man talks about how much he respects and loves women, and then he tries to kiss you and you give him the cheek, and then he tries to kiss you again and again, like twice in a row, to me, that's insensitive, right? Like notice I'm focusing on the character traits. That's insensitive, that's inconsiderate, that is just inappropriate. Right? And so I'm looking deeper, not just at what he's doing. And it's very easy when you're going on a date with someone, if you have a great first date and you really like them, to kind of just explain it away and say, well, we really just were, we were connected. He just really wanted to kiss me. No, if you give him the cheek and he goes again and again, even if you tell him no, that is extremely disrespectful and completely inappropriate. So don't feel afraid to trust your gut and to really look into the motives and the character traits behind his actions, because that's going to reveal a lot about the type of person he is. And speaking of character traits, look at his actions around other people. I mean, is this someone who will yell at service workers, like waiters or taxi cab drivers, like someone who's paying for a service for a short period of time? How does he treat those people? Because if he can treat those people like that and completely disregard them and put himself above them on some pedestal, who else can he treat that way and think he's better than? Or if you see him lie to other people, and he just lies very easily, but he doesn't lie to you, he just lies to other people, there's a very good chance that he could lie to you. Now, I'm not saying that Bill Clinton lied in the past and Hillary knew about it, but in politics in general, I would say the people that get ahead politically are probably the ones that can say things that people want to hear. So did Hillary know that Bill had lied in the past? Maybe, I don't know. I'm not trying to take sides politically, but Hillary did say in the past that she didn't know if the marriage should continue. So obviously she saw something in the past and chose to stay with him. And I'm not saying that, I'm not judging her. She can totally choose to do what she wants. There just had to have been some red flags and some identifiers that maybe she wasn't completely surprised that this happened. Now, the best way to put yourself in a position to spot incongruencies is to make sure that you're spending time with someone. This is why long-distance relationships are very, very challenging, because you have no idea what's going on the majority of the time. Also, it's why I encourage everyone not to engage or create a relationship with someone over the internet or over the phone until you meet them in person. And this is key. You don't just meet them in person, but you meet their social circle, friends, coworkers, acquaintances, other people. It's very, very easy to create a character and to lie to someone one-on-one, but to be able to maintain a persona amongst many different people is much more difficult. But before you develop a relationship with someone, you surely, definitely want to meet more of their social circle, see more about how they actually live, watch them, watch how they live, and have access to their life in person before you really put yourself in a position to be hurt. Personally, when I met my wife, Kathy, she just seemed a little too sweet and kind and just a little too perfect. And maybe I was just smitten, but she just seemed like she was putting on a show. It just seemed she's just too nice for me. And then I think maybe I met her friends in the first few weeks, and I remember I asked her friend Melissa. I said, Melissa, is Kathy really this sweet? And Melissa said, yeah, she's incredibly sweet. I'm like, okay, whatever, she's her friend. She's not gonna say anything bad. So I think I asked her, I said, when was the last time Kathy yelled at someone? And you had to hear the context. It wasn't like an awkward question. We were kind of joking around about the past and how sweet Kathy was. So it's not like I was interrogating her. It was like a fun question, and she laughed at me. She's like, Kathy yell at someone? And this was a red flag for me. I'm like, she has no backbone. She's just a yes person. She's always nice to everyone. There's no substance there. There's not a real person. But then Melissa said, well, wait a second. She did yell at this person that I remember. She yelled, and she was actually defending me because he had said something that wasn't nice. And I said, okay. So she's very sweet until you cross a value system of hers, and then she will speak up. I said, that's important to me. So I really flushed it out, and it took me, quite frankly, a few months of really being kind of suspicious and meeting a lot of her friends and meeting her family and really getting a deeper understanding of who she was and her whole mindset and her whole demeanor. And I wasn't fully trusting in the beginning, even though she didn't really give me any reason not to be trusting. It just seemed too good to be true. So I dug in, and I'm so glad that I did, because I ended up finding out, and I think it was around 3.5 months in where I said, oh my gosh, she really just is such a good, sweethearted, kind person. Listen, she's not a pushover. She's a strong woman, but it took me time, and I was investigating. I was looking into this. I wasn't just enjoying myself the first 3 months. I was looking into it. Now, regardless of what you choose to do, whether you choose to stay with a guy once you see certain character traits like Hillary did, or whether you choose to leave, the important thing is that you're not left in the dark. You're not putting yourself in a vulnerable position where you just are totally clueless and just fully trusting another individual. You have to be safe. There has to be some level of curiosity and skepticism, especially earlier on in a relationship. And listen, at some point in time, there is a point where you just might open up and be totally vulnerable. And it still happens that sometimes people are lied to, and that's hard, and that's the challenge of emotional intimacy and allowing yourself to truly connect. But if you take congruency and really look for congruency in everything that he says and does, I promise you, you will be able to catch 99.9% of liars. They show themselves abundantly, very clearly through their actions. I hope this study in spotting a liar was helpful for you, and that you use this while you're out there dating, meeting people, or in the relationship that you're in to really help learn more about your partner, to learn more about any questions or things that are incongruent that you see, to ultimately give you more security and clarity about where you stand and what's really going on in the relationship. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe so you can get notified of all of my videos coming up every single week, and I look forward to seeing you at the next video. Thanks so much for watching.